are in movie mode. Thank you so much for joining us. We're a little bit late this week, but it's okay because we still have a lot to talk about. Austin Burke, I have not seen your face in over a week. It's broken some kind of record, at least in the last couple of months. How are you, sir?
Doing wonderful. We went to the beach. It was amazing. Granted, I don't know if going to the beach during one of the hottest weeks on record was a good idea. I thought going north, because we went to Virginia Beach, would be good. Turns out it was almost 100 degrees every day while we were there. So, if you have a 1-2-year-old, we have a 1-year-old, don't take he/she out on the steaming hot beach, because we saw people having heat strokes left and right. The sand literally burnt my feet. And my daughter was out there maybe 30 minutes a day because we wanted to play it as safe as possible in the shade the whole time. And so, man, while it was a great time, we had a lot of amazing food and spent a ton of time with family. That was awesome. It was a hot week at the beach, even in Virginia. So, you can't escape it no matter where you go, man.
I could have sworn you went to the Republican National Convention. I didn't realize you went to Virginia Beach.
It was funny because my brother flew into Washington, D.C., and when he got off the plane, so he got on the plane before the shooting happened with Trump, got off the plane after it had happened. So he said when he got off the plane at D.C., Washington, D.C., people were scrambling, freaking out, because they're in the heart of it if it's something that is more than just an attempt on Trump's life. And so Josh said when all the TVs were playing the same thing and he read the headline, he started freaking out a little bit because he's like, oh my God, what if they go after the current president? And so he said there was a little bit of panic going on, man. I learned about it while I was driving. He learned about it getting off the plane in D.C. So that was a pretty fun story from my brother. Not fun for him, but we kind of looked back and laughed about it.
We also were in a borderline apocalypse while you were gone with that whole, what's it called, cloud strike or whatever the thing is that shut down Windows.
Man. Oh, insane. It was the day before my brother, so they actually their flight got delayed for 10 hours on the way there. We drove, thank God. But that happened the day before he was supposed to fly out. And so he's sitting there, when we left, he was like, are we going to get delayed again? Because we got delayed 10 hours on the way here, and then the world shuts down. Isn't it crazy too, Ryan, how one program, one company, something happens, the world shuts down. I mean, my wife, she works at the hospital. She said the entire operating room, they had to stop using digital. They had to go paper, and they had to stop all operations in the operating room of the University of Kentucky Hospital. That's scary. All because of one program. And so, a lot of people's lives were affected during that madness.
Yeah, it didn't affect me at all, luckily. I woke up thinking that I was going to get a day off of work from both of my jobs. It turned out that wasn't the case. But thankfully, anyway, I know a lot of people were stuck at airports. And I had a friend of mine who worked at Starbucks in Tucson. She had to close the store because they just couldn't use any of their computer systems and things. And I went to one of my jobs that if it was going to affect anything, it would have affected one of my jobs. But it turned out like we were like the only building that lucked out, and it didn't affect us. It was like, okay,
of course. Man. Yeah.
But what a week. I'm glad that you were able to be on vacation during it. And I'm glad that we got to watch something fun, not something horrifying. I mean, I guess if you find Twisters fun, it would have been less fun if there was political messaging in it. But thankfully, the director, I'm being an asshole at this point.
I've seen that. Oh yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad you're back. I missed you, and we're gonna head into a super busy week. I'm just now remembering that San Diego Comic-Con is a week from now. At the time that we're recording this, we have Deadpool and Wolverine coming up in a couple of days. We have another movie that we talked about podcasting on. We have these hit summer TV shows coming to a close, already come to a close in terms of the boys and the Acolyte. So there's a lot going on, and I'm honestly overwhelmed. As content creators, it's almost like, not for you, not for Austin Burke, but for me, it makes me actually just want to not make content at all. Like, fuck it, I'm just not going to talk about any of it.
I kind of felt that way while I was on vacation because I had to cover Twisters, and the finale of The Acolyte came out, and the finale of The Boys came out, and there was so much going on, and they were dropping trailers, they were dropping things left and right, and I'm sitting there trying to relax, but there's a part of me that's like, Austin, you have to get up and make something, man. Something's got to be done. And I inevitably kind of did, even though I haven't made half the stuff I wanted to make. But last week was stressful. But you're right. This next week is going to be maybe one of the most stressful weeks, in a good way, of the summer because of this Marvel madness, because of this MCU madness. There's going to be so much to talk about with Deadpool and Wolverine. And then we're going to cap it off with a look, hopefully, into the future of what the MCU has to offer. And so, man, I'm excited about it, but, I mean, I'm going to be making videos for 3 different platforms, collabing with like 7 different people. We may be having a special guest. I don't know if we want to reveal that on the podcast this upcoming week, but I'm very excited. We can tease him, do a little tease for him, but I'm excited to see what all this leads to, man. It's going to be a good week.
I'll do an impression of our potential guest later on in the show.
Okay. I like that. See if you can guess it. Yeah.
Oh, they'll guess it. I've got it nailed down. They'll guess it. You know, I don't even think we've really talked about or settled on how we're going to address a lot of these TV shows coming to an end, but probably in the form of like a summer roundup here in a couple of weeks when we don't have anything to talk about movie-wise. Mm-hmm. But August is pretty stacked movie-wise, too. I mean, Trap, Romulus, there's one other one that I'm forgetting. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, for sure. So, Halo, they canceled that show. There's a lot to talk about because if you want to go in as objectively as possible with any discussion on the Acolyte, mm-hmm. all you have to do is look at the success of House of the Dragon and how that succeeds as a prequel series, mm-hmm. and the reason why the fans rejected Halo and the reason why it was canceled.
Yes.
It's like you can form a pretty objective opinion on the state of Star Wars. You can take out the conversations that we've been having online, or maybe not we, but the conversation online when it comes to actors or showrunners or DEI and writing. Like, you can take all that out and just have a conversation about what happens to a show like Halo versus what happens to a show like House of the Dragon. So that's a conversation I'm looking forward to having eventually.
Yeah, that should be really interesting. With Halo, I was looking forward to it, obviously, but I had heard some things behind the scenes and then inevitably watched the first season that started off strong. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're finally getting a Halo TV show. But you could start to feel kind of like what I felt with The Witcher while watching The Witcher. It's like there's a detachment from the lore and what the games were supposed to do and then what the series is, and the liberties that they are taking, and the things that they're not including that fans really wanted to see. And so I was so disappointed by the end of season 1. Then with season 2, I watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm like, again, episode 1, okay, maybe we're back on track. And then I watched episode 3, and I'm like, okay, we're just kind of going off. And I had a feeling it was going to get canceled, just like I had a feeling that The Witcher would inevitably lead to Henry Cavill leaving. It didn't get canceled, but Henry Cavill left. And so I'm interested to see what happens with Acolyte because a lot of people hate-watched this show. And so maybe the ratings were better than we think. But I really, really hope that they take note from these other things happening and being canceled and maybe make some changes for season 2. We'll see.
To put a positive spin on it, I did some number crunching yesterday. Because streaming numbers and viewership, it's so hard to navigate all that because, every company, every service, uses different metrics for engagement and viewership and things like that. But I did find minutes watched for season 2 premiere of Halo longer episodes, but they still put out 2 episodes, shorter episodes for The Acolyte, 2 episodes. Even so, after you do the math, The Acolyte viewership was twice as much as Halo.
Wow.
So when we look at the numbers I looked at in my YouTube video a couple weeks ago in terms of viewership, how it relates to other Star Wars series, second worst series, just above Andor, but Andor increased its viewership as it went on. Acolyte did not. So it's still pretty neck and neck. However, still, the premiere was twice as viewed than Halo Season 2. So significantly less popular than the least popular Star Wars show.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, again, those comparisons, it's Star Wars, it's on Disney Plus, which is a much more accessible, way more people on Disney Plus compared to the other one. That being said, you would think the fan base that have been asking for anything from Halo on the big screen, on the small screen, I mean, for years, and we got that fan-made series that was pretty interesting, but we've been wanting this forever. And to see the viewership just completely drop off after a while and no one's talking. There's a Halo show. It reminds me of when Assassin's Creed came out, the movie. There's an Assassin's Creed movie, and then a year after its release, no one remembered it. Nobody thought about it. Until I was reminded recently, I think we were talking about it. Somebody was talking about it. I forgot that was a thing. And
we were talking about it because it had a contemporary song in its trailer.
Yes, that's what it was. But you look at me 10 years ago being the world's biggest Assassin's Creed fan, loving Halo, everything about this. You tell that kid there's going to be an Assassin's Creed movie and a Halo show, and then 2024, nobody's talking about that. That's crazy, man. The world that we're living in right now with media and how we consume it is insane to me.
When I first started paying attention to the movie space online, started reading slash film, like in high school, before any of this YouTube stuff existed, the Halo movie produced by Peter Jackson, that's like one of the longest running rumors, one of the oldest rumors that I remember going around. And then, of course, it became District 9 after he partnered up with Neil Blomkamp, and that was a whole thing. But there was a Microsoft exclusive series, I believe starring Mike Coulter, right? And it was Halo something or other.
That sounds right. Okay.
And it was exclusive. Right. It was an Xbox series. I can't remember what they called that app, but it doesn't exist now. But Forward Unto Dawn was the Halo short film series that they released. And they put it out on Blu-ray. And I owned the Blu-ray for the longest time. I thought that was exceptional. Looked fantastic. So that was always fun. For me anyway, but let me reword that. That was always my favorite of what they had done with Halo. But Assassin's Creed was more of my jam personally. Not that I didn't play Halo. I loved Halo multiplayer, but story-wise, Assassin's Creed was always my jam. And I was so excited for that movie.
Me too, man.
And it was actually Christian Harloff, of all people, who DM'd me. And it made me laugh, but he got out of his screening and he just texted me and said, Assassin's Creed was a fart parade. and which is funny. And I never saw it, still have not seen it to this day.
Oh, you didn't see it. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Wow.
So sad.
Yeah.
So, whatever. We've got The Last of Us. So, anyway, we'll do a summer TV roundup eventually, talking about The Boys as well. But, guys, we're on our way to monetization. We submitted our account right before we hit record, and that's going to allow us to receive super chats and all that good stuff. But more importantly, it allows us the opportunity to live stream and talk to you guys. So we should be getting that back any day now, maybe in the next week or two. But we're going to start live streaming at least once a week. And that'll be just another evolution for us here. I think we're going to be able to live stream our podcast too. Like what you're watching right now, I think we'll actually be able to live stream it. So I'm pretty sure we'll come back to that. But anyway, special thanks again. We thanked you last week, but thanks again, and that is on the horizon. And that'll make talking TV and stuff a lot easier. If we just hop on and do live streams and we're able to talk about whatever show was on the night before, it'll be so much easier. So
yeah, I'm excited. I think there are a lot of doors that are opening up with that, and being able to come to you all a lot quicker with especially massive breaking news. I think that's really important too. Like with this show, we're a little later than usual, but if we get the ability to go live and be with you all in real time and answer questions as well, which is super cool, I'm excited for that. And then, we get the push to 1K, which is, I think, the first huge milestone for this channel. We're very close, so if you have friends or family friends, let them know that there's a podcast where two goobers are talking movies if they're into that kind of thing. But thank you all, seriously, for helping us hit those milestones, and we're excited as we approach Oscar season and some of these bigger Christmas movies. Hopefully by then we're rolling, and we've got 3 or 4 videos of the week. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to do.
Hey, buddy, there's this really cool podcast where 2 guys I know online are talking about movies. Still?
Wow.
Do you remember? The video I made impersonating you all?
Yes.
But the whole thing about that was, for a brief second, I played myself. So for those of you who don't know, it's on the YouTube channel right now. I do an impersonation of Sean Chandler, John Flickinger, and Austin Burke. So I introed the video with my impression of them, but then I cut to me asking you all a question, and my question was, can you all honestly say at this current time, it is still reasonable to start a movie YouTube channel? And the entire joke was Sean Chandler didn't want to answer it, and that's the video ended because Sean Chandler would not answer truthfully if it was a good idea to start a movie review channel. And here we are, a year or 2 later, and I've done a podcast with Austin Burke. How about that?
And started multiple channels on the side as well. No, it was so funny, Ryan, when you made that video. We were all together. I was with John and Sean, so I showed them both the video, and they thought it was hilarious. So that was a very accurate as well. I liked the impressions. Have you been working on them? You still got Sean Chandler down?
Welcome everybody to Sean Chandler Talks Movies. I'm Sean Chandler, and we're going to rank all 10 of my ranking videos in the month of July 2024.
Oh my God. That was really good.
Thanks.
No, that's really good. I think Sean would appreciate that. I'm going to clip this and I'm going to show it. So I hope
it'll give him a reason to DM me, because he hasn't DM'd me since I was doing all that with the impressions, and he loved to talk to me about another series of videos I was making this time last year. But so anyway, that was fun. And hello everybody, my name is John Flickinger, and welcome to the Flick Pick. Yeah, it's nice. Anyway, so still have never spoken to that dude, but maybe that'll change. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of were we talking about spoilers? I don't know. Guys, I do time codes for a reason. Austin and I are going to talk about the final trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. You may or may not know there are spoilers in that trailer, so there are going to be spoilers in this conversation. So if you want to just stay clean, skip to the time code where we talk about twisters. But now, you've been warned. We're going to talk the final trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't even know where to start. Where were you when the final trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine dropped?
Well, I wasn't going to watch the final trailer because I knew, well, like they always do, that there's always something at the last second that they're trying to tease. And, okay, what's it going to be this time? Is it going to be that big of a spoiler? It absolutely is, in my opinion. And I think the argument against that is a lot of people, when I tweeted that out, that they included a spoiler in the final trailer, people don't watch it, people were saying, well, Austin, that just means all the other stuff that we're getting in the movie is going to be bigger and crazier. But I didn't want to know Daphne Keene was returning in this movie. I didn't want to know that. I had an inkling, but I didn't want to know that. And maybe if that's something they choose to reveal, I don't think it makes a difference, but if that's something they choose to reveal a month out, it would piss me off. But not when you're a week away. When you're a week away, just wait a week. Don't put it in there. Because everyone and their grandma who's going to see this movie, with or without that information, is going to see this movie. Putting Daphne Keene in the trailer isn't going to change anything. For me, loving that character and loving Logan so much, and now kind of having some context how they're going to revisit that, no, it's not the biggest spoiler in the world. I get that. I understand that. I did not want to know that. I did not want to know that. And I didn't see it in a trailer. I saw a discussing film post. That's what spoiled it for me.
Me
and
too.
So once, yes. Yeah. And so once that was spoiled by discussing film, a page that I often respond to and quote, by the way, they're very good at what they do, pissed me off that they spoiled it, whatever, I decided to watch the trailer. The trailer was awesome. It got me fired up. I love it. They've changed the color grading. People will hopefully stop complaining now. It's not gray anymore, sort of. So blah, blah, blah. But the Daphne Keene thing, man, what do we... Did you care as much as I did? Because I cared, and I hated it.
I didn't care as much as you did, but I understand why people are upset. You've already said it. What makes this unreasonable is that we're 1 week out. That is the sole factor that makes all of this completely unreasonable. You know, it'd be one thing if it was like a month or two ago and we were talking about a movie where like Marvel was kind of worried, like with Brave New World. Like if they did something like this to Brave New World, I would at least understand it more because we don't know where people stand on Cap 4. But we know that this is the most anticipated Marvel movie in years. Like without question, and maybe the highest grossing movie of this year without a doubt. So it's not like they did it to get across a certain goal box office wise. Like, hey, let's try to get all these types of fans in. Let's throw in Daphne. It's like that wasn't the play either. Yeah. So it's a weird decision. But I did not get angry because I think I was just overall excited for it. And I thought that the tone of the trailer was really beautiful as well. Yeah. And the fact that tugged on my heartstrings, I think that's probably why I didn't get as upset. But I don't have any issue with people taking issue. It's a pretty silly thing, and I definitely still would have been thrilled and excited, and probably would have been crying if the reveal was saved for the movie alone. But yeah, it's cool, I guess, that it promises that she's playing a bigger role than intended. You know, but I'm kind of, it's like one of those things. I'm with everybody on this. I'm with everybody. I'm excited. I understand why it sucks.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because, you know, there were... It's just the people... And it's Twitter. I know I shouldn't get so, like, worked up about it, but there were people getting mad at the people mad that she was in the trailer. They're like, well, I don't think that impacts me or that... And I'm like, I don't give a shit. It made me mad. I'm allowed to be mad. If you're mad at me being mad, I don't care. Who cares? I'm allowed to be upset that she's in the trailer. And so I appreciate you. And if it was another character, I probably would have been in your boat. I probably would have been like, okay, I didn't care as much. It's just there's this connection that I have to Logan. And now knowing that they're exploring that a week before the movie comes out, I'm kind of like, dang, man, why didn't we just wait? So that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah.
Then again, looking at the trailer itself without that issue, I'm with you. It's a beautiful trailer. It's an awesome trailer. This actually may be my favorite trailer. And so there's not much more you could have done to get me more excited for this movie. But now knowing that it's not just going to be a joke fest, an F-word fest, we're throwing Wolverine in there because we're going to get that box office up. That's the case. But I think there's going to be some heart in this movie. And I genuinely believe Wolverine's story, kind of hearing what I've heard about it and knowing what happened to his world, man, I think we're going to get a moving Hugh Jackman performance. I don't think he puts the claws back on and doesn't commit.
Yeah.
You know he's going to commit. And if they give him that arc that I'm kind of thinking they're going to, we could be in for one of his best performances as the character. Aside from the cool costume and the cameos and all of the sweet comic book things, but just pure Hugh Jackman with the claws. I know that was a concern like a month ago. A lot of people were saying, well, he's just in it for the money. Of course he's in it for the money. I'd be in it for the money, but I think he's going to give a great performance. I genuinely do, and I hope that transfers in the movie.
We might even get his second best performance.
Ooh. Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of interviews, and I've heard the story about how he's called Ryan Reynolds up like right before they were about to pitch to Kevin Feige that they shouldn't do the movie, and he called him up, said he's going to, I've heard that anecdote several times now. I can't remember what video it was, but he told it in a way this last time that really made me feel like Hugh Jackman came into it knowing that he had to play it a different way. Like, here's all the ways that I've played this character. Here's all the things that I've done. Here's all the stories that they've taken. And here's what I would like to do instead. I really feel like they nailed that down here. And I know it's kind of silly because we also got Daphne Keane, which is, somebody else coming from. But we're going to get everybody. We're going to get all kinds of characters that reference every X-Men movie. And that's what makes... The first person I thought about when I saw this trailer was John Campea, actually, because when I watched the John Campea show, after the first trailer came out, John Campea said it multiple times. We've got confirmation. This is absolutely the Wolverine from Logan. And it's like, no, it isn't.
No, not even remotely.
First of all, he died.
Yeah.
And then he referenced a line of dialogue. Whatever, Wolverine is at fault for whatever happened in his world, and it's like, but Professor X is at fault for what happened in Logan. It's like, it's not the same world. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny that they were adding more to his story. But then I'm sure John Campea saw Daphne Keane and was like, oh, see? So,
It's that world.
I don't know if he still has that take. I just remember watching that episode and just being like, what are you talking about, dude? I may or may not have even put something in his live chat. So I can hear myself in your headphones a little bit, by the way. I don't know if that's been bothering anybody, but I just realized it. But I love Daphne Keane is going to be in this movie. Love it. And the theory goes that this is going to be a handoff movie.
Oh.
And they don't have to worry about recasting Hugh Jackman if Daphne Keane becomes Wolverine.
Interesting.
I
think about that.
Love that idea. And I actually think it's the best version that we've come up with.
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
Yeah, man, I haven't heard that. It makes a lot of sense. I do think there's going to be a large group of people that will be pissed off that we won't have a Wolverine in this new, that we won't have that version, a Logan, in this new universe. And so that's the first thought that comes to my head. It's like, oh, what are people going to think about this? But it does, if you're going to tie these things in, it does make the most sense. And it's not like Hugh Jackman has to go anywhere. He can just go away for a couple movies.
She's X-23.
Yes. Yeah. He can be back for Secret Wars. And so we'll always have Hugh Jackman at... All right, the more I talk about it, the more I like it. I like it. And it brings in... And then I can say... Logan now has... One of my favorite comic book movies, by the way. Now has way more relevance on this universe. Which, to me, makes the universe better. And so that's amazing. I love that thought. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah. There's, the theories, of course, that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are going to hang out with Toby and hang out with...
Yeah.
So you can still do that. You can bring Laura in to do the Young Avengers stuff. You can have her, be a part of whatever you're going to do with the X-Men movies as well. I mean, she could do anything as X-23, really, and you could do anything with Hugh Jackman still playing Wolverine. It's pretty perfect. But yeah, there's all these ideas where like you can't replace Hugh Jackman. Even weird like Ryan Reynolds quotes. There's never going to be another Wolverine. Only Hugh Jackman can play him. There's a reason he's never been recast before. Maybe he's right, but maybe you don't have to worry about it if you let Laura be Wolverine. And then you can recast every other actor and have her be the bridge between the Fox X-Men. And I just think it's, I think it's beautiful, actually. If they pull that off, and, who would have thought Fox already cast the new Wolverine? I mean, it's just a theory, but I love it.
It's a great theory. And, Disney really likes her. She was in The Acolyte.
Yeah.
There's a connection there. And to bring her back, not only gives them another... You have a character with an established emotional connection. You don't have to build that connection whenever she pops up. We have that, thanks to Logan. And it feels like most people that have watched the MCU, especially now that Deadpool and Wolverine's coming out, they've seen Logan. And so you don't have to get people scrambling back to watch this movie that nobody's ever seen. Yeah. And so why not? And then why not keep him, like I said, Hugh Jackman, around in your back pocket whenever you need him as this just secret weapon of sorts? Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, think about it. Because think about how they're playing. I've kind of already made this point, but I'll add to it.
Sure.
They keep playing coy about Hugh Jackman's return, right? So I think he's going to be in Secret Wars. I think he's going to be in whatever the Avengers movie, the other one is going to be. And yeah, you can have two separate classes. I was going to make another point, but I just completely bailed. I just pulled my chute. Totally forgot what my point was going to be. But either way, I just think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I love that theory. It took a second to get on board because, not having a Logan with the X-Men, I mean, what's going to happen with this? What's going to, but if you have a pre-established connection like that, I think you're going to piss off a lot less people without having to recast one of the most well-played characters of our generation. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that's at least a cool theory. Whether it happens or not, we'll see.
I remember my point. So Daphne Keane has kind of stayed out of the Acolyte discourse.
She has.
So if she's a Disney employee still hired to play X-23, it's smart. And she talked about how she took a page out of Andrew Garfield's book and has stayed quiet up until this point. And it's almost like she's been Marvel trained. So
you're putting those puzzle pieces together, and I like this a lot.
And
what you're doing right now, by the way.
Somebody interviewed Feige, because a lot of these interviews are coming out by now, and he said that the X-Men in the MCU starts with this movie, which is like obviously because we've seen the previous generations already in the trailer, but he says the X-Men in the MCU starts here. So I don't think you start the X-Men in the MCU by just showcasing the previous actors. I think we get at least one of our new characters.
I agree. That may be the most exciting part is what happens at the end of this movie. What world, kind of like at the end of the Marvels, which I've kind of forgotten about that by now, but what world do we land on? What character do we see? And it might even be a post-credit scene that introduces us to that new team. And how many do we get to see? And now what you've done is opened up the door to X-23 being a part of that new team. And so, yeah, this is exciting. I think I can't wait a week, to be honest with you. It's going to be crazy, but the possibilities of what this new X-Men is going to be, they're endless at this point, and this film's going to answer a lot of those questions.
You also don't have to waste your time doing a new origin story, and you don't have to recycle Logan's for the 15th time. We don't have to.
Yeah.
We can do a new version of Weapon X, but we don't have to do that anymore. So it kind of stays fresh if we do this.
Well, we saw an example of rehashing the Dark Phoenix storyline, doing that twice, and we're just rolling our eyes by that second time, even though the movie itself wasn't very good. But it's like, we've seen this. What's the point of doing it not 30 years in the future, but what was it, like 10 years after already doing the Dark Phoenix storyline? Like, I don't want to see this again. And I'm kind of feeling that way about a new Logan, a new Wolverine. There's the Jean Grey love story. There's, his role in the X-Men. Does he become more prominent, less prominent? I would like to shift that focus to, and we saw what X-Men 97 did, shift that focus to Cyclops in these new movies. Let Cyclops be that leader. Let some of these side characters, let Nightcrawler have his day and finally focus on him a bit more. And so doing that feels like the right way to go, the right direction, while again, having Hugh Jackman on standby, waiting by that phone whenever Kevin Feige gives him a call.
Yeah. It's a shame that Glen Powell is going to be James Gunn's Batman and not Cyclops, but that's okay.
You saw that too. Yeah.
God, there was another point I was going to make. Oh, what was it? I'm getting so excited. I'm losing track of all my points. Oh, we did Weapon X in every Fox X-Men series. We did it in the original X-Men trilogy. We did it in the Wolverine trilogy. We did it in the New Class in Apocalypse. And we did it in Deadpool. Deadpool was a part of Weapon X.
You're right.
So all 4 X-Men series, we've ran that into the ground. You go with Laura, you don't have to worry about it. You've already done her origin story, and it's not that. So,
yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Glen Powell,
I was going to say, let's talk about the Glen Powell. Wait, real quick. Can we talk about the Glen Powell Batman rumors? Because I know we're both like huge fans. What are your thoughts on that? Is it just he decided to follow people on Instagram, or is there more to this?
I'm glad you saw this too, because I didn't even confirm if it was real or not. So
I think it was, because I saw multiple quote unquote legitimate accounts report it, and so seems real, maybe.
It's interesting. I would not have gone Batman for him, but I did think about this the other night before going to bed. That's when I usually think about Glen Powell. And I was just thinking to myself, I think, and I don't know why, maybe you can help me, DCU makes more sense for this guy, I think.
Okay.
And maybe I don't know what that means until we get our first DCU movie. But I was thinking more like a Green Lantern for him.
I was too.
It could be multiple. Booster Gold. We've seen Kumail Nanjiani is floating out there as Booster Gold, but I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. But Batman, I would love to see him as Batman. I don't know if I'm wanting to see him as Batman. I would be curious as hell, but it's not like, and I love Glen Powell, it's not like I thought of him as Batman. It's not like I still don't prefer like a Gyllenhaal, but Glen Powell also recently came out and said that he didn't want to play superhero. So
He did.
I think that maybe James Gunn's DCU could find a way to make him feel better about it. I don't know how or why, because I think when people say I don't want to play a superhero, I think they're talking about in the MCU.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how to quantify it. Maybe it's the idea of like signing your life away for multiple projects and you don't always have creative license. So maybe James Gunn, what he's doing with his new universe is going to change how actors come in and out of that. So I don't know. I'm still trying to work all that out. But curious, but not like overwhelmingly excited. What about you?
We could also look at that as a swerve, right? And I can't remember if he was actually asked that question or if he just decided to say, hey, superhero movies, while he's signing the contract in the background.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if this is legitimately the case, he's known about this for a while now. It would also be funny because both he and Corn Sweat were in Twisters together. And so there was recently a story that came out. Everybody was fired up about Corn Sweat getting announced as Superman. It'd be funny if Glen Powell was secretly in the background going, hey, buddy, I'm Batman. That being said, not my first choice for Batman. That's nothing against Powell, but even the way he acts in Twisters, I'm like, oh, that's Hal Jordan. That's what I feel when I'm watching Glen Powell in Twisters.
Yeah.
But the good thing about Glen Powell is I feel like this guy has endless amounts of range. And so maybe a Bruce Wayne-like character is that side of him that we just haven't seen yet, and he can probably do it. I think he would do a great job with it. And I also think of, you know, Christian Bale being announced as Bruce Wayne for the first time. And some people, and this is just based on what I've seen. I wasn't there at the time. I was very young. I wasn't paying attention. But apparently some people were like, Christian Bale, you know, it feels like he'd fit as a different character, but not necessarily Bruce Wayne. That's the same feeling I get with Glen Powell. But when I really start to think about it, all you need is an incredibly talented and good-looking actor. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Glen Powell, that's like, if you look that up in the dictionary, Glen Powell's face is going to be next to it. An incredibly talented and good-looking actor. That guy, that's it. Right.
You need a chin, which he's got a chin. And
he's got the chin, man.
You need darker hair, which I haven't seen him in darker hair, except when he wears a wig in Hitman. But we can get there in 2 seconds. But it's just weird because here's my mindset to better understand this. I'm watching Twisters, or I'm watching Hitman, or I'm watching Top Gun Maverick, and I'm waiting for him to play a football coach. It's like that's my guy, Glen Powell. I'm like his next movie, he's gonna play a football coach. You know, that's what I think of him. So to go from that to Batman, I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, maybe it works. I don't know.
Well, and it is. I mean, it's if you want someone right now that's going to almost be a contrast to Robert Pattinson, just feel so different because this Batman would be, you know, Pattinson's very dark, very to himself. He's kind of got the like emo thing, the emo look going on. His backstory is very dark and tragic. Same thing applies to this version of Batman, but I feel like James Gunn's Batman is going to be lighter, maybe a bit brighter, maybe more like what they try to do with Ben Affleck in The Flash, except hopefully way better quality than Batman that we got in The Flash, but more comic booky. And so I'm actually more excited to see his version of Bruce Wayne compared to Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne. Because I feel like Glen Powell, you're going to already have him, what does Tony Stark say, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. He's going to be all that and more. And so I think that excites me seeing his Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that is fun to think about. But do you buy him as a father yet? Because that's what the Brave and the Bold's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, and maybe it's just because he has that youthful feel, exuberance about him, but I think he could do it. I mean, dude, I don't even buy myself as a father, but I am, you know. I think,
that's true. You know what? That's a good point.
Right? It's weird, right? Because I don't look and feel, but I think he could do it, man. I think he could pull it off.
Yeah. There's an alternate universe, and I don't think Glen Powell is going to do this, but there's an alternate universe where he does the kind of movies like a certain Chris is doing. And I was watching the Red 1 trailer, and I was like, one false move, and this is Glen Powell.
Oh, God.
Like,
don't say that.
I hope Glen Powell, like, you need to play like a Black Ops guy. You need to play a football coach, you know. Let's get you in a let's get you in the last Mission Impossible for some reason. Like, that's what he needs to be doing. Don't go anywhere near Dwayne Johnson. Don't go anywhere near Vin Diesel. Stay away. Don't go anywhere near Expendables 5.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Take notes from. It seems like he's taking a lot of notes from Mr. Cruise. And so if you're taking notes from Mr. Cruise, even though I don't know if Tom Cruise would ever do a superhero movie, he's kind of doing that with Mission Impossible. I just feel like his career trajectory is a beautiful combination of Matthew McConaughey and Tom Cruise, and that's really exciting. That, to me, that is like, we could be looking at one of the coolest movie stars ever if that happens. So I'm excited to see it, and I think Batman would just take that to another level, which is awesome.
I think Tom Cruise will be in a superhero movie when Mission Impossible's behind him.
Maybe. I'd like to see it.
I don't think it'll be the biggest deal, but I think it'll be something like Redford and Winter Soldier, probably, where he plays a fun character for a movie, and then that way he can say, he's got his beak wet. But I think it'll happen eventually, for sure.
If we want to make Jon Stewart the more, which Green Lantern, it's going to be a TV show. I don't think he'd do that. But if we want to make Jon Stewart the younger Lantern, I could really see Tom Cruise as an older Hal Jordan. I could really see that.
Yeah.
And so that would be be the mentor to a younger Jon Stewart type character. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, who knows? Tom Cruise loved Andy Muschietti's The Flash, so maybe he'll jump at the chance to.
You're right.
Anyway, that was a fun conversation. I didn't even know we were going to have it. How fun.
Mm-hmm. The best.
All right, let's start the Twisters chatter. It was a fun summer movie, or we always thought it would be a fun summer movie. Turns out it is a fun summer movie. We did not see this together. We were a state away. When did you see it? Did you see it Thursday evening like I did?
I actually saw it Wednesday evening.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I saw it Wednesday evening. My videos were a little delayed just because, on vacation, trying to find time to do all that is hectic. But I really didn't put my thoughts out there until like 24 hours later, and I had them recorded, but I was curious to see what you've got that initial wave of reactions, and I pay mind to that, but not really. I was curious to see what the audiences were going to say about it. I think so far it's been positive, especially that A- cinema score. But I was very excited to put my thoughts out there when I did.
How was your theater? Was it pretty packed?
It was pretty packed. I wouldn't say completely full, but I would say mostly and pretty rowdy. It was a pretty rowdy theater for a Twisters movie. You had people like, all right. There was a whole row of like 5 guys that were my dad's age. And so my dad told me, because I went and watched it with a couple people that were with me on vacation, my dad was like, I guarantee you, just like myself, they were all like massive fans of Twister, because they were like, oh, and the big thing flew in and almost hit Glen Powell when he was laying there in the pool, and everybody goes, oh my God, like they were into this movie. And so they were pushing the edge of annoying. They were pushing it, but they never got there, and so they actually added more of an excitement to the movie, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw it at 3 Thursday, so it wasn't the most convenient time for a lot of people to go to the theater, but Regal RPX, there's a lot of seats in that theater. It was about a third full, probably, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad for that time.
No spoilers, by the way. Like, I think we can have this entire conversation without spoilers. It's
Agreed.
Twisters. But just to kind of set the stage a little bit, so I don't have any pre-existing fandom for Twister. Like, I'm totally cool with the movie. I saw it once growing up on TV. I saw it once. Actually, I watched it this year at some point. I don't remember when, but I've seen it recently. But it's not like I have this passion for this movie. I was excited for Twisters, not because it had an S at the end. I was excited for Glen Powell, and I just thought it was a fitting, fun summer movie. That's it. And the trailers looked cool. There was a shot of Glen Powell walking in the rain with a cowboy hat, and a white T-shirt, and I thought that's the coolest shot I've ever seen in a theater.
Yeah.
The year that Dune Part 2 came out, and that's my favorite shot, is Glen Powell walking in the rain. No. That's really all that I needed. And I was excited, nonetheless. So my theater wasn't rowdy. I wish it was, but I think people had fun. And there were certainly moments of impact. Yeah, that pool sequence where it was a trailer that ended up, so that was pretty impactful. I'm sort of in the middle, though. And I've seen a lot of back and forth. And I feel similarly as I felt walking out of A Quiet Place. In that it's perfectly fitting. There's nothing wrong with just going to the theater and having fun. It's a harmless entry into the franchise, I guess we can call it now. But I don't know if it's the best movie of the summer or anything like that. I do think it continues, the year of Glen Powell or the summer of Glen Powell, whatever we're doing with his name right now, it was worthy of that in a way that Bike Riders wasn't for Austin Butler. Like,
sure,
this succeeded probably on every level it had to or needed to, but it's not like it's a top 10 contender for me personally.
No, I'm with you on that point. I did thoroughly enjoy myself, and I think this movie is a ton of fun, but it doesn't go that extra mile, which is initially those comparisons I was hearing, and maybe it's because Kaczynski is actually, I think he did the story for this movie. He also wrote Top Gun Maverick. People were comparing this to Top Gun Maverick. They're like, it's the Top Gun Maverick of 2024. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. If it's that, then I'm going to love this movie. It's not that. Let's get that out of the way. It doesn't have the depth. It doesn't have the level of emotion. And it doesn't have just the kick-assery of Top Gun Maverick, because that movie just kicks all kinds of ass. But what it does have is what it needed to have, and that is a level of disaster movie entertainment that doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel instantly forgettable, even though it's kind of forgettable. It doesn't feel ridiculous. It knows what it is. I think Lee Isaac, he knew exactly the type of movie he was directing here.
Yes.
Directed it in that way, flawlessly. Not a flawless movie, obviously. But it delivers those types of things. And I love the feeling of our characters that get a little more depth than maybe I expected, which was kind of cool. Our characters, they're going up against a big monster. That's what I felt like at the end of the movie. It feels like a monster movie in that way. And these tornadoes, they feel like living, breathing entities, and that's what a lot of people got from the original Twister. Like, they're going up against this huge impenetrable force. Yeah, I like the first Twister. It's fun, but it doesn't resonate with me like it does a lot of other people. I kind of felt that more in this one than I did that one, even though both casts are excellent. Without this cast, without Glen Powell and Daisy Edgar-Jones and Anthony Ramos, I don't think this movie would have been as engaging, because I wouldn't have cared as much. But because I did give a little bit of a crap about these characters, I was able to feel that when they were going up against that big threat all throughout the movie, which was really cool.
There was definitely way more character interaction than I anticipated. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah.
Just like some quiet scenes where she's like going upstairs to her hotel room to talk some shit to the other crew, and then he comes up and brings her a pizza. Like, all those scenes, I don't know if it's just because I don't expect much from a modern blockbuster anymore. It's like, that's the kind of stuff that Fast and Furious completely moved on from.
Yes.
And so they don't do anything like that anymore. So if it's almost like this movie could have also been Twister. Like, if this movie came out in place of Twister, I think it would have still maintained the legacy that the first Twister has, if that makes sense. It feels old-fashioned in that way, but it's also just like, it would have been a great TV movie. And maybe it still is. I don't know how to navigate that kind of talking point anymore, because I don't have cable and I don't have like a live TV, so I don't know if people just turn on Hulu Live TNT and watch a movie anymore. I have no clue. So maybe Twisters will also be this movie already, and I don't have to put it in the mid-90s. But it's I think this is exactly what the filmmakers and actors set out to make. Like, I don't have any issues with it other than it was just never going to be an 8 or above. That's really all that I have to say, honestly. It's just, it is exactly what it is, and I love it for what it is. But it did its job.
It did its job, and I never expected a Twisters movie to be like Top Gun Maverick. That's why that first wave of reactions maybe set my expectations a little too high to be, and I know I shouldn't listen to that, but set my expectations a little too high. It's like, wow, this is a legacy sequel that's elevating and doing all these things. No, it doesn't do that. But again, to just recapture that magic, and in my opinion, to take that magic a little further and do a little more with the story at hand. And it is so funny that I compare this to a monster movie. With the Godzilla movies, I want less humans and more monsters. With Twisters, I actually liked the amount of human interaction that we got, and maybe that's just a difference in writing. I think that's what that is. But because of that, I cared a lot more by the end, and that's really cool, especially her story at the beginning when we jump right into the emotional trauma that she's going through. That sets the stage for something a little more than that, which was cool.
Yeah, the reason why it's not Top Gun Maverick, it plays on the nostalgia because of the concept, but it obviously isn't utilizing any of the characters from the first movie, except the cameo from Paul Scheer at the end of the movie, who played the airport attendant. But other than that, you don't have that play, which is fine. Bill Paxton's no longer with us as well, so that's a factor. But Top Gun Maverick, even though there are scenes that parallel, like I think about Tom Cruise walking through the class for the first time with the briefcase. Yeah. You know, there was that scene in Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick feels like a completely different movie at the same time. Like it has its parallels. It has its, you know, carbon copy shots. It feels, the intro is like the exact same vibe, different footage, obviously, but it's a completely different movie. Twisters is not a completely different movie from Twister, and that's okay. Again, it's not that I'm saying that it's bad because of it, but it's just why it's not Top Gun Maverick. And also at the same time, it's like, I'll be honest, I have no clue what any of these, I don't know what these characters were doing at any point in this movie. No clue. No idea. They put a solution into the tornado that absorbs water to neutralize the tornado. But it's like, I don't know how rooted in reality that is. I would love to know what that means for the environment to have this product that we put in baby diapers just constantly in the Earth's atmosphere at this point. Like, there's all these things where I'm just like, sure, go ahead. I don't know what this is supposed to be, like a highly regarded scientist, and because the movie said so, we can put this. Can we do this in real life? Has somebody tried that? Like, it's so funny and silly, but it was never meant to be. Top Gun Maverick, it makes you feel like you're in the plane. It makes you feel like you want to join the Navy tomorrow. You know, I have no clue what these people are doing in Twisters. And I don't have to. It's just a different beast. So I guess I'm just speaking to the people that haven't seen the movie at this point, and they're just kind of curious what to compare it to.
I'm with you. I genuinely, but the thing is, I never really asked. Like, I was texting Mr. Flickinger, and he was comparing this to. He didn't like the movie, by the way. He was comparing this to. I'm shocked. It's so shocking.
The one time he goes to the theater this summer, and he's pissed.
Poor guy, he's so busy, man. He never. And then he goes, he walks out pissed off. But he compared it to a live action anime. He's like, they felt like anime characters. Like there's no realism, and I get that. He's talking specifically Anthony Ramos' character.
Okay.
And I get to a degree, of believability. If that kind of thing makes you mad, it's probably gonna make you mad in this movie. And I get that completely. And I told you, I told John, I understand, man, but that didn't bother me. Like I didn't go to Twisters to feel that specifically. I went to Twisters to just turn my brain off and have a good time, and my brain was all the way off when they were doing the sciencey stuff with the tornado, because I'm like, don't know. And there's a really famous YouTuber, his name's Ryan Hall, y'all, and I believe he's got over 1 million on YouTube. He actually, I know him. We both grew up in Pikeville. We were very close to each other. I feel like I should reach out to him and be like, hey dude, have you seen Twisters? Because he's a storm chaser. That's what they do. And
really,
I would love to know. Yes, he's a storm chaser. I would love to know how rooted in reality that movie is compared to what you all do. So maybe I should ask him that. I think that would be maybe a really fun discussion for us one of these days. Because I just thought about that. Like he's in the world that we're watching.
He's the real Tyler Owens, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, he's the real Tyler Owens, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah,
amazing. I love that so much. It's maybe it's not surprising. I feel like for Flickinger, that's the kind of movie he should like. But then again, I mean, if there's an older version of whatever he's watching, he's probably going to like that more. Like if he grew up on it. So I can understand it. Isn't it funny how like Anthony Ramos played a kid last summer in Transformers? That was just last summer. Anthony Ramos was playing like a kid or a teenager, but and now he's in this. This is the first movie I've seen him in. And other than that, the only thing I knew him from was it In the Heights? Is that the
In the Heights? Yeah.
So my old roommate used to blare that trailer on a daily basis through our house during the pandemic. I would literally like walk in from work and that trailer, he would just have that trailer on. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, there's other things to watch than the In the Heights trailer. But anyway.
Do you like the movie? No, I'm curious, and I'm invested.
Me? Wait.
No, did he like the movie when he watched the movie finally?
I think he did. I don't know if I was living with him when he saw it, but then again.
Oh, no payoff.
I don't know.
All right.
I'll give you his letterboxd after this. Anyway. I honestly don't have that much more to say. Daisy Edgar-Jones, I had only seen her in Fresh up until this point. Didn't see the Crawdad movie, but I thought she was great.
Yes.
People taking shots at the chemistry. I don't think that they were in love with each other, and I definitely don't think he had the chemistry that he had with Sydney Sweeney and and then Bay from Hitman. But I also didn't think it was like non-existent at the same time. I didn't buy that they were in love. I just thought that they had good back and forth.
Well, the movie didn't necessarily. I guess the end is literally, not to spoil anything, but is literally kind of more focused on that than the rest of the movie. So maybe it does kind of ride on that. But I don't think the movie as a whole, your enjoyment's going to die if you don't think they have chemistry, because there's a lot more going on. And I thought they were good together. I actually liked them on screen together. I think it's just because they're both so talented as actors. And I won't spoil what it is, but I don't know if you saw this. There's a missing scene between them that's not in the film, and the discourse regarding that. And I'm like, sure, maybe that would have been cool, but at the same time, it's like, they still fought a tornado with fire in it, so that's cool. That's what I wanted, Yeah. And the visual effects, I guess we have to talk about, I thought were awesome. The decision to shoot this on film, was like, that's okay, whatever, I'm not going to notice it. I guess it kind of made the special effects blend together maybe a little better, because I heard some people, John, thought it was a little green screen heavy. I didn't feel that during this movie. I
don't agree. I'm with you on that for sure.
It looks great to me.
It's funny. I was watching Pearl did a watch along for it, and I mentioned how James Gunn must have seen Corn Sweat because he's playing like a I don't know what state that movie takes place in, but Southern or Midwestern guy.
Farmer.
Yeah, he's kind of got that old-fashioned look to him. And I was like, oh, James Gunn must have seen that. But he also could have seen Twisters, where he's also in the Midwest, where Superman would have been. And anyway, I just kind of thought that was funny that back-to-back Corn Sweat is just staying in the pocket. And it's almost like he was just always born to play Clark Kent. It's pretty wild.
To have such a minor role in this movie too, like he was good, he just didn't have a ton of screen time. But
yeah,
it's so funny to me to watching that, knowing he's going to be Superman. So I guess I was just a lot more locked in on him, and to see how small of a role he had, I can't wait until he blows up, because to this day his performance in Pearl, to me, he stood out. I'm like, who is this guy? He's really good. And then he gets cast as Superman, and it works out great. So everybody was good, I thought, in this film. Even as little screen time as some of these characters had, whether they're a little obnoxious. I mean, even Powell's character was a little obnoxious. He was riding that line.
I was laughing,
cocky
dude.
And but cocky and confident. He never came across as overly cocky, more just super confident, and a character that McConaughey 1,000% would have played 20 years ago, which is amazing to me.
The only character that annoyed me was like his sidekick, the actor from Nope.
That guy. Yeah.
He was the only he was the only guy that annoyed me, honestly.
Sure. That's fine. I thought he was fine. He was okay.
Twins. That guy.
Our twins. We're going. And to be honest, the threat, I think, watching Twister fairly recently, and then watching this, the threat just felt a lot greater in this movie. I think they do some things in the original Twister that make it a little more creative, and the cow flying through the air and all that. But I mean, you got twin tornadoes, you got a fire tornado, you've got all this technology going up into the tornado. It just felt like this massive thing that they weren't going to be able to overcome. But also, after the devastation happened, going through and seeing people kind of dealing with that was another nice touch on this movie. So yeah, some things added in that didn't need to be added in, but just a fun, entertaining, occasionally dumb, big disaster blockbuster is what we got. It's what we needed, and I enjoyed that.
It's safe to say that climate change has peaked in Hollywood. We've moved on from climate change. Now we're just on there's some more tornadoes in the Midwest. That's just where we are. So see you later. Sorry, Tesla, you're toast.
In the midst of the craziest, at least up until this last month, not as bad this last month, but one of the craziest years for tornadoes on record. And so really? Nature's been doing some marketing for Twisters.
Shame on you.
Which is interesting.
I was just about to make a joke making fun of people that make that joke. Shame on you.
Dude, it's nature. Nature's been doing some marketing.
The promotional material for Oppenheimer's wild, and it's like, some stupid actual war zone in the like it's
dude, my cousin just sent me photos the other day. This was from a month ago, but his town he's right in the middle of Arkansas. So you're going to get tornadoes. But his town had a tornado, man, and his friend's house, his friend sent him a picture. The whole roof caved in, and I guess all the insulation in the roof was filled up with water, and it was all black. Yeah. And all their items on that entire floor was just covered in black, wet insulation. And it's real. But even someone like him, and his house was damaged as well, he's texting me like, man, it's going to be scary because we lived through it, but I can't wait for this movie. Wow. So even someone like him was freaking pumped for this movie, which was really cool to see because he's in the heart of it every year, it feels like.
I will look back on this movie fondly as a great Glen Powell movie, great summer movie. It'll stay right smack dab in the middle of my end of the year list. Cumulatively throughout the entire year, not the middle of my top 10 the entire year. Middle of the road, but fun nonetheless.
Yeah, in a year where I've seen a lot of I guess it's not in my top 10 by any means, but it's technically higher on my list. But I've seen a lot of, for some reason in 2024, a lot of bad to mid movies. So a lot of those take up 40 spots. And so this one's higher. It's near the top 20-ish, but I mean, it's not like I gave it an 8 or a 9. That's just where it ends up being based on an otherwise. So it's a fun movie that will do its job for a lot of people. But now I've seen Twisters. I'm seeing Deadpool next week. Then we get into Oscar season, and so maybe we'll get some meat on those bones later on this year, because I haven't seen a lot of that this year, other than Challengers and Dune. Those are the two for me that I've seen this year.
Guys, I think that about wraps up our discussion on Twisters. I don't think we've mentioned it yet. So let's go on and end with a special surprise for our viewers and for our listeners. So you have the privilege of seeing Deadpool and Wolverine Monday evening?
Yes.
Okay. I will not be seeing it until Thursday evening, which you are still joining me, I believe, with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So, guys, because Austin is seeing this Monday night, we are going to record Tuesday morning a reaction pod where, because I haven't seen the movie, I'm just going to ask Austin about the movie. He can talk about it in a non-spoiler fashion. That content is embargoed until 6 p.m. Tuesday. So we're going to record it Tuesday morning, package it up, and it will premiere Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. on the YouTube channel. So if you are listening to the Movie Mode podcast feed right here, right now, please make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel at Movie Mode Pod, because that's where that's going to live first. I'll still upload it to the podcast feed. But 6 p.m. Tuesday, Movie Mode, we will see you there, and we'll do a premiere. And I think that's it. You got anything else on that?
No, I'm thrilled. And next week is going to be that's not going to be our only show next week. It's going to be massive across the board. We will talk spoilers. We will dive deep, but we wanted to make sure we were with you all when the hype first starts next week, which will be Tuesday. And then I'll get to see Ryan's reaction to it on Thursday, and we'll get Ryan's thoughts, and we'll dive deep. And we're going to dive deep, maybe with some help. We'll see what happens there, but it's going to be a super fun, super extensive week full of Marvel and Deadpool. So if you have superhero fatigue, get ready, because it's coming, baby, full force. maybe get over that before next week, because it's going to be amazing.
What sucks is that because I took off of work to see Deadpool on Thursday night, I work Friday lunch, and then I work Saturday evening. So a lot of the Comic-Con stuff that's going to be going on, it's going to be hard to cover. But I don't know, maybe Friday night something fun will happen. And then if you're not doing anything Sunday, we can talk about that at another time and off air, but that does put a wrench in my weekend. But anyway. All right,
Sunday's
guys.
a good day. We're the big Marvel thing Friday night. I think they've announced that that's going to be Friday night. But maybe there's something. Yeah, that's happening Friday night. The big Marvel event. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. We'll talk off air about that. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Guys, we love you. Tuesday, 6 p.m. Non-spoiler Deadpool and Wolverine discussion. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.